Hey, Preston, what's up? You ready, bub?
Just about.
What's up, guys? Star of our show will be joining us shortly.
Why do I feel cold air?
I do too.
What are you doing? Can you move that over to it's under me?
What?
The
Yeah,
little
the heater?
Does it go any further?
Yeah, it'll go a little further.
Is heat coming out that
No,
way?
you have it the wrong way.
Well, I didn't.
There you go.
I needed to like suffocate me. It's so hot in here. It's so cold in here. Like it's coming straight up. Now I can start slipping down. Okay, can you put that straight on so I don't always look crazy? No, straight on means right here.
No, I can't. It's already like at its limit. Hey, what's up, guys?
I always feel like I'm like behind you.
You are behind me. Scoot up.
Well, I mean, I can't. That's because the camera's all the way over there.
Stop. There. So, big week.
Get out of. You're not going to look at hockey scores while you do
I know.
this.
Setting up that meeting for them tomorrow.
For the hockey?
No, for Pam and Rob.
Because that was hockey scores.
I know, but I just got off.
Okay.
Stop. So long week. Why don't you talk about? You went today to your first. Today was her first, not her first radiation treatment, but she went for her testing today.
Well, I think that I'm going to back up a little bit and talk about I struggled really hard last week. And I think that anyone who's been pregnant might understand this, that you go 9 months and you hit the due date and you're like, oh, I'm tired of being pregnant. I want it to be over with. And something happened last week when I finished chemotherapy and I was really sick. And then I got sick again with an eye infection was a sinus infection that went into my eyes. And I can usually put fake eyelashes or something on and make myself feel better. But it felt like it was the first time that I looked like I was truly a cancer patient, and the whole world came crumbling apart for a few days. And it's because it was my biggest fear I didn't want to look different. I didn't want to look sick. And I went to, it's a gift and a curse at the same time to be able to read people. And the people around me, it was obvious that I looked different. The couple comments like, why do you look so different? Are you not feeling well? Like, your eyes are dark. Why are your eyes so dark? And I knew what it was because every time I look in the mirror, it's not the person that I think that I'm going to see. It's a completely different person. And finishing up, my chemo, like I knew I wasn't going to go back to normal, but I think what has happened is when I was diagnosed, you put yourself into it and you go, I'm going to fight. I'm going to do whatever they tell me to do. And I'm going to get through it. I'm going to do it with a brave face. And I did. And I went through the lumpectomy and I went through the reconstruction, and then I went through chemotherapy and I lost my hair and I did great with all that. But when I looked in the mirror last week with having my eye infections and reading people and realizing that I was I really look like a cancer patient now. I felt like my world was crumbling apart because all I could think of was, how the fuck did I get here? Like, how did I sail through 6 months and then all of a sudden I wake up after, it's been 2 weeks of being finished chemotherapy, and I don't know how I got here. And I don't recognize that person. And will I ever recognize that person in the mirror again? It's hard because I see myself as in Shonda, and I talk and I joke, and when I go by the mirror, I don't see that person. And all I can think of is the person that I was before. She'll never be the same. And that's hard.
And I don't, and it's obviously a insanely different perspective, but I don't see any of it.
I know, but
And I don't. I mean, you're sick and you have cancer, and this is what it looks like. And so it didn't catch me off guard or make me look differently or make me say, I didn't even recognize the whole eyelash thing until you said something. But none of that matters because I'm not you, and I don't care about stuff like that. So
no, but it's a combination of
I
stuff.
know, but I'm saying it's hard for me only because I can't do anything for the internal pain that you're going through, and I have to just kind of, I mean, you present a problem to me, and I'm going to solve it,
Right.
and I can't solve this, and so
but the other thing is that I gained 15 pounds and from it, and that was one thing I definitely wasn't expecting, but is normal, and it doesn't make you want to get dressed in the morning because your clothes don't fit. You start paying attention to how many people say, oh, it was time for a new haircut. um, it doesn't make you want to get dressed. And so I think I fell into that sort of rut where I didn't want to get out of bed. And I know we talked about this too, was even when I went to chemo, and I even said something to the radiation people today, I said, why does no one look like me? Because the women before me and the women after me today all had hair. Why do I look so sick?
well,
And being in COVID.
but like I said, part of it is, you're as well as I do, week to week are completely different looks at this in different, and depending on what stage you're
I'm
in.
gonna be in the same look for another month, but I think I said to them today too. I said it to the people in charge. I said, "Why does no one look like me?" The whole time I was going to chemo, no one looked like me. And she said, "We probably have 10 women a day, but you're not alone." But I think that's part of what COVID is I am alone because I don't see anybody. And to go to those places where you think that you're going to see somebody who's in your same situation and you don't.
But that'll come, and it doesn't make it feel any easier when I say that.
I know there's people out there who feel the same way, though, because they're going through it, but it's so isolating because you do find comfort in others. You find comfort in knowing you're not alone. And I've been blessed to have so many people praying, reaching out, and making sure that they know that I know that they're thinking of me. But there's definitely a part that's missing when you can't talk face to face with somebody who understands what it's like to truly look in the mirror and not see yourself and wonder when you ever will, and will it ever be the same? Because even something as simple as, trying to breathe, because of the way that I have to do radiation, all I could think of today was, I've run 8 marathons, and I feel like I should be able to breathe better than I do. And it was really hard. And I went to the thing today because today I had to do the run through, because I have to hold my breath because of the way that the radiation is going to be pointing. I have to hold my breath to make sure that my heart stays away from the radiation. So I had to go back in for one more mapping, and then, a test run. So I officially start today, and I'm the kind of person that just does, when I had to do lumpectomy, that's what I have to do. Whatever test I did, I waited for it and I did it, and I did that. And then when it came to radiation, I didn't look into radiation. I just put my head down and got through chemotherapy. And I just didn't realize that radiation was going to stop me from getting to where I needed to be again, because I never expected at 3 weeks I'm not supposed to lift anything anymore, and how much of this area will be burnt, or whatever you call it, radiated burnt, it's the same thing. And so that feeling of trying to get myself back to the way I was is now even further down. And when people say, you got to give yourself a break, you have to, I've been going through this since August. And when I went through the chemotherapy, I felt like I was through the hardest part.
You are. You are through the hardest part.
And I know that I'm lucky because there could be a cure at the end, but I think it's the first time that it hit me that it's funny, because I'm on a Facebook group, and what you don't pay attention to, and then what you do pay attention to, kind of goes with what part you're going through. And to have people now say that it came back, it's like that's not even a thought.
Well, I mean,
That even came
but the problem is that you latch on to it's recurring.
No, I didn't latch
No,
on. I
no,
never
I'm
even
just
thought
saying.
about it.
I know,
just
but there's just as
saw
many stories, if not more, of
there is a
it's
lot
been
more.
gone forever. And I'm not.
No, it's just
I know.
never even entered into my brain.
Yeah.
That wasn't even a thought until you get to this next part of what you're going through. And, this is the part where the cancer's done. They went in and killed the cells with the chemo, and now they're trying to get rid of every little bit that's left.
He's all wound up trying to get to you.
They're trying to get rid of everything that's left. So it was a hard week last week mentally, and I am now ready to buckle down and get through radiation. And
Get on with the move.
yeah, but I guess I expected I would have a little bit more hair by now than I do. But it feels like I'm going to be like this for a while. So I won't keep it all sad, because I'm not a sad person like normally. But I wanted to be honest. I wanted to be honest.
But I'm saying it's not sad. It's just this is all part of it. And that, again, it sounds so trivial to say it like that, but that's what it is. This is just steps of going through this.
I know. But I just never thought about that. And you can never think about what it's like to look in the mirror and not see yourself. Not even see anything that looks like yourself.
Yeah, but see, I see
But you're
the
with
same
me every
beauty.
day.
Yeah, but I mean, that beauty has never been something that's diminished. The only time it does is when you're.
No, but a lot of that had to do with people's reactions. Because I told you, the one thing I didn't want to do is I didn't want to be sick. I didn't want to look sick.
Right.
I didn't want people to feel sorry for me and that kind of stuff.
And it's also something you have literally zero control over.
Well, I don't know. So that was my story. But you can change the topic now. I get the dog down.
No, this
I
is
don't
what
want
we're
him
here
on
to
the,
talk about.
I know, but I don't want
He's
the dog
all wound
on.
up trying to get to you.
That's because
Scratching the hell out of me.
he's usually in bed with me by now.
You done it. Oh, my goodness.
I know you say beautiful from the inside, but it's hard to. It's not hard to see that. It's just hard to see when you look completely different on the outside. And COVID needs to just fucking stop right now.
I told you, I went down to when I went to grab your soda. I didn't wear a mask in, and there was people in there not wearing masks.
Now, I don't know that that's the best solution.
But I mean, it's people need to start getting back to their normal lives. If you're high risk, you take care of yourself, stay out of public. Otherwise, move on.
Well, the only thing good that has come out of it is doctor's appointments are pretty much on time because they're not shoving 15 people in there at once. And you don't have to wait around because they don't want you to be waiting there.
Yeah.
So we talk about the Golden Globes.
What about them? It's pathetic.
I don't know who votes on that stuff because some of the winners I'd never even.
Well, it's not even the winner. The absolute dog crap that Hollywood's putting out doesn't deserve. But I mean, they just every 6 months they have to have some sort of event to self-flagellate, and pat themselves and kiss each other's ass, and it's stupid and ridiculous.
Okay, so you know what I did today? I got the mirror for Christmas, and I like Lonnie because he does Latin dance, and I do like I did the beginning. There's a beginning, a medium, and a advanced, and I couldn't get on. So Gabby set me all up, and I usually do the medium, and I couldn't dance at all. Like today, I just couldn't get into the rhythm. I'm like, what is wrong with me? They could never take me on Dancing with the Stars because like they would say go home before they'd even match me up with somebody. Like I looked that bad. Gabby had me on the advanced. She put me on the advanced class. So I feel a little better. I thought, boy, I have no rhythm, no hair, no eyelashes. And now I can't even dance. I could have killed her. I just kept thinking, I was able to do this last week. I don't know what happened. And I watched Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid for the first time.
Great movie.
Yesterday. So, of course, I have to research everything. And I was just curious if you think that Butch Cassidy came back to the United States or did he die in Bolivia? His family says he came back.
Yeah.
And if anybody had seen that before.
Yeah, I don't know. That whole story, it's a very cool story, though.
Can you imagine the brave just jumping on a train and robbing everybody?
Yeah.
But I thought the movie was really good. It was funny to watch that. And
it was Redford and Paul Newman, right?
Yes, because I had watched The Sting last week too, and that's the other one.
Yeah.
It's
Robert Redford.
Yeah, but it's also he's still alive. Clint Eastwood. Which for some reason, like, they remind me of each other. So I think the last time that I was on, we were going to tell a story. And I think it was about being traded to here. Does anybody remember?
Oh, the Thanksgiving story about.
Yes, he came back. They think he came back. No, I couldn't kill it. You clearly did not see me on my mirror. And it's so bad, I won't even look in the mirror when I do it. Like, I stand off to the side because I don't even want to catch myself doing it. It's supposed to be like a little Latin dance.
Salsa dancing.
Well, just it has a little cardio in it. First time I did it with Gabby, I was soaking wringing wet, and I think it was more embarrassment because she kept flipping the camera on me, so my whole body would like catch on fire because of it. It's the Theo Thanksgiving. So, how the story really starts is we had a great relationship with Mr. Colangelo, who owned the Diamondbacks. And I started the Shade Foundation when I was there, and I met with him. And he said, I want to help you in any way that I can. And he said, we're going to have a party and we're going to have it at your house. And we're going to invite people and you
This
tell them what they're
was,
doing.
you told, all right,
In
this is
2000
when she was diagnosed with,
No, this is when I had the party
right, but it was for the Shade
for the
Foundation.
Shade
She
Foundation.
had
I
been
had
diagnosed
melanoma
with skin cancer and created the Shade Foundation.
because it's 115 degrees there.
It was a organization that was dedicated to putting up sunscreen and shades around
Over the playgrounds.
over the playgrounds in Arizona, as well as getting it mandatory that classes had to have lotion dispensers
And teaching. You taught it in
and
a
teach
class.
sun safety in the classes.
Yeah.
So we were having a fundraising event at the house.
And
And-
it was just about over, and Mr. Colangelo.
No, hold on.
What?
So before this, Joe Garagiola had just re-signed Luis Gonzalez to a huge contract, and I had a total no trade, and they weren't going to trade Randy. And Joe had come to me and said something about the fact that if I was amicable to it, they were potentially interested in moving my contract. And I said off the top of my head, initially I had said, let me look around, and he gave me permission, and I reached out to a couple teams. Phillies was the first team I reached out to, and Ruben said that they didn't want me back, so that wasn't an option. So she wanted to go to New York, and I don't know where I wanted to go to a couple different places, but to do it, I had to waive my no trade, so I had complete control over anything and everything that they did. So,
Well, we were at an event before that, and Mr. Colangelo was teasing me that he was going to trade you. And I
Right.
said, you're not trading him before this party.
right.
You can't do that
Right.
to me. So
So
the party comes.
the party comes, and that day I read an article in the paper about the Red Sox were interviewing Terry Francona to be the manager. And in my mind, it was a given. If he interviewed for the job, he was going to get it. So that night at the party, about halfway through, I went to, and they had already been in talks with a bunch of different teams. And I didn't know this, but I went to Joe Garagiola Jr., and who was talking to Jerry, or no, he wasn't. He was actually, they were separated. And I said to Joe, listen, I heard that Boston was interviewing Francona. That is a place that if they have interest, I'd be interested in talking to them. So he walks immediately from this conversation over to Jerry Colangelo, and then comes back to me. And this is, I think, Monday or Tuesday of the week. And he said,
You're taking way too long to tell this story.
no, well, there's no rush. He said, we already, actually, Boston reached out to us, and we already had talked about a deal. And the Red Sox will be here on Thursday or Wednesday to negotiate a deal with you. And I was like, holy crap. So I went to her and told her, and she was like,
That was at the end of the party.
at the end of the party. So what basically the rules state that the Red Sox had 72 hours to negotiate a deal with me. And this was starting on Wednesday. So I want to say Tuesday afternoon, we get a knock at the door, and it's Theo Epstein and Jed Hoyer. And they had these like baskets, and they had a letter, and they said, listen, we'll be back tomorrow, but we wanted to bring you these, and we wanted to give you this, and then we'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. So the baskets were gifts for the kids, and basically they printed up and made some mock-ups of Red Sox charity for the Shade Foundation. And they did their homework.
ALS,
They did their homework. They knew everything about us. And the letter was from Bill James. And it was a letter. I had mentioned previously that Fenway Park was not conducive to me as a fly ball pitcher. and all the things that go with that. And Bill James had broken down the numbers and to show me that actually fly ball pitchers do very well in Fenway. This would be a great fit, and yada yada yada. So we spent that. It was impressive. It was an impressive first move by for sure. And then
we had all our family come in. We're coming in for Thanksgiving because
Yeah.
it's our first Thanksgiving
this was the first Thanksgiving Shonda was actually going to cook
in my life
ever.
because my birthday is always around Thanksgiving, so
Right.
I use it as an excuse not to cook.
So the next morning, Theo and Jed show up and they bring a third wheel. Larry Lucchino shows up as well, which was actually funny in hindsight. But we sit down and Shonda had strategically positioned the 2001 World Series trophy to be seated between Theo and Jed. And we started talking, and it was kind of funny because it was clear to me that Theo and Jed had the chops to negotiate and they had ideas. And Larry was running the show. And so Larry says, well, here is, he slides this yellow piece of paper over and it says, like it has a B circled in top and it has a 3-year offer and it's not even in the ballpark. And I said, this clearly was Proposition B. I'd like to actually see Proposition A because this is not even remotely close.
But at the end of the day, we weren't even close. So
Right.
Larry went on to California.
Well, no, there's a lot more to this. Anyway, yeah, Ruben was the assistant general manager for the Phillies at the time. So, yeah, there you go. Anyway, we talked that day. And again, there were a couple times when Larry was talking and I could look and Theo was in the corner, like looking up at the ceiling, like, please just stop talking. Because he wasn't doing any favors to what was potentially going to be the deal. We just talked, and Larry tried to pitch like I needed to go to Boston, and I said to him at the end of the day before they left, because Larry was leaving to go to San Diego the next day. It was just going to be Theo and Jed, and I said to Larry, listen, Larry, you can lay down all the attractions you want, but the fact of the matter is you can't beat the Yankees and you want one of those. And I pointed to the trophy, and Jed and Theo looked at each other and we just kind of smiled. And so they left and Theo said, we'll be back tomorrow and we'll actually have conversation.
But tomorrow was Thanksgiving.
Tomorrow was Thanksgiving.
And they left.
They weren't going to come. And we were like, so we threatened them. We said, listen, if you don't come here for Thanksgiving, then we just won't sign. So they were like, oh, okay. And so the next day they showed up. Didn't they bring food, a pie or something?
I don't know, but they were shocked that we were eating as early as we. So we had family and small kids all over the house.
They show up and Jed has these nasty looking pants on because apparently he was sick and he threw up on his pants on their first trip on the way over. So he was not feeling well. But they came in. We had Thanksgiving dinner on Thursday. We didn't talk very much. We talked a little bit before that, but we had Thanksgiving dinner
with those two and all of our family.
And all of our family. And then we watched, the Dolphins were playing somebody, but we watched the football and just talked. And the one thing that was very, very clear to me was that Theo was mature beyond his years. But these two guys knew what they were doing. And
I couldn't stand the thought of them being alone in a hotel for Thanksgiving and not having a Thanksgiving meal. Which now looking back, they probably didn't care if they had it.
I didn't really give a shit.
But it was kind of funny because we would go back into.
Didn't they stop at like a bakery to pick up something?
I don't know because I was cooking the actual dinner. And anyway, and we lost our dog the night before. We had to remember Rufus went through the fence and we had to go search all over the place for him. But when they got there, we ate and did a little bit of football, and then we would go back and talk to them, negotiate a little bit, and then we break off and we go back to our family.
Yeah.
And then we go back and we meet, and we did that 4 times that day.
Yeah. And one of the early parameters of the deal was that they told me that they could not give me more money than they were paying Pedro annually, which you got to remember where I was in my career. I was coming off of 2003 where I was hurt, but my numbers were really, really good. But there was no market for pitching, and A-Rod was out there And they were in the middle of, they told me that they had a deal in place that they were going to be dealing Manny and I think Nomar and getting Maglio Ordonez from the White Sox and signing A-Rod. And, I talked a lot about Theo or Tito. Like that was like a big deal breaker for me. And they said, well, we can't make any promises. I said, I don't want any promises, but they were obviously very encouraged by their interview. So we ended up leaving Thursday night and basically saying no. We weren't going to accept the deal. They weren't in the ballpark. We really appreciated all the time and effort and energy they put into it, but that we just didn't have a deal. And
do you remember though, at what point I said to them, it's all good, but I'm not going to tell my husband to sign that?
No.
It was at some point I said, I'm not going to agree to have him sign this. Because I knew that you kept saying you couldn't bring the market down.
Well, yeah, I mean,
so
part
that's
of
how we came up with the $2 million bonus
well, no,
if we won the World
don't jump
Series.
ahead. You're jumping ahead.
Well, this story could have been told in 5 minutes.
Well, but there's a lot of little funny stuff in the story.
Okay.
So anyway, she would like you to think she was my agent during the deal.
Well, I was there the whole time.
But anyway.
Same as I was there at that interview.
So I called Joe Garagiola that night after they left, and I felt bad. I said, Joe, listen, I don't think it's going to happen. And I'm not going to be able to make this deal with them. Well, a little side story. On Thursday, I got a phone call on my cell phone from another American League East team informing me that they would be there Saturday morning with a blank check if we didn't sign with the Red Sox. So we had leverage in a big way, and it was where she wanted to go anyway. So
I only wanted to go to the Yankees because I wanted to be able to get home to Philly.
Well, and the other thing was I was on the Sons of Sam Horn website that night talking to the fans, and they were it was weird because I remember we were talking about it, like people were actually having Thanksgiving dinner and their Thanksgiving prayer involved me, like coming to the Red Sox. And it was very weird, but the fans were just insane. And we left Thursday thinking there was no chance. They came back Friday.
It was pretty quick on Friday.
Yeah. On Friday, they came back and said they called Mr. Henry and they brought the deal up to 13.5 a year. And we asked I wanted a kicker, and we asked for a World Series bonus. That if we won the World Series in the 3 years of the deal, I'd get a $1 million bump in my annual salary and a $2 million bonus for winning the World Series, which now is illegal to do. And
yeah, it wasn't then.
And yeah, this.
And what could they lose?
Right.
I mean, it was a win-win.
Right. It was a no-brainer for them.
Yeah.
And they agreed, and we agreed. And I remember Mr. Henry called me like right after that. We agreed, shook hands, and another side story. Theo tells the story about going into my office and seeing there was a negotiating for dummies book on my desk. I didn't have an agent for probably the last 7 or 8 years of my career, but we did have a family attorney, Ed Hayes, who's always been a very dear friend of ours, and so we would send all of our stuff off to him to check legal language, and we'd been talking to him through all this and sending him the deal and keeping him informed and stuff. And he had sent me the book and with a little joking letter saying, hey, just in case you need some help figuring this stuff out. And it was all dog-eared. It was an old copy. And Theo saw it on my desk. And like he said something about it a couple years ago.
But thinking back on it, it was funny because there was kids running all over the place.
Oh, this was right out of a movie.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we had this big hallway that was the front of our house, and we were all in it when we did it. And they get on the phone and they're calling the Red Sox, and we're calling.
John Henry's calling me. We're calling family and everything. And
we still had the family there.
Yeah, but there's trucks lined up in front of the house, like literally TV trucks.
But I can remember everybody's on the phone, and my mom goes, I have nobody to call. You're all right here.
Yep,
my brother was there, and
so we agreed. And Mr. Henry called me and congratulated me, and
that was crazy for the next Jay having all those.
The next day we did the press conference at the.
No, we did it that night.
That night, yeah. We did the press conference at
Yeah.
what's her name's hotel?
I can't even remember the name of the hotel.
But a dear friend of ours who did work at a hotel, we did the press conference there, and that was where I said, I guess I hate the Yankees now.
Yeah.
And then, but then the A-Rod deal was still on, and everything was happening, and Tito signed not long after that, and then I came back to Boston for the Fan Fest, and we did the Ford commercial in Florida. We did a couple of the Dunkin' Donuts commercial,
which was funny,
which made me sick to death of maple syrup.
You started eating them right away.
Yeah.
But when it was funny because after it was all said and done, and then they did this. Sports Illustrated did this big cartoon of us.
They did, yeah. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's like Norman Rockwell of Shonda cutting the turkey, and there's money flying out of it, and Theo and us are all sitting around
and the banker was at the table.
Yeah.
But my mom said, I don't get it. I've been cooking dinner for 50 years. You cook one and you're in every goddamn newspaper in the United States after that.
I'll tell you.
So I figured it was time to quit.
One of the big things was on Thanksgiving Day, one of the big things that really, really brought me around was, I was insanely into preparation at that time. I had my own video set up with Philadelphia and all the things that go with that. And Theo actually brought a computer to the house to show me their software for video, and it was way more advanced than anything I'd ever seen, and it was a huge selling point for me to kind of finding my way to a comfort zone.
So that was Mr. Colangelo told us on the 23rd, because that was my birthday, the night of the dinner, and then by the 27th, and then 2 weeks later, we've got Sports Illustrated, all of them in the house, taking pictures.
Yeah.
And then
if you,
a week later,
if you get a chance, who's the reporter here? The really nice grayish haired.
I know who you're talking about.
I did an interview, and it's absolutely, Dan Roche. It's incredibly eerie because he asks me, what do you want to be able to do 4 years from now? Well, I said, I'd like to be able to say that we won a couple World Series championships and that we made the trade worthwhile. And like everything we said in the interview happened exactly the way we said it. And I wouldn't have come here if Tito hadn't signed. I mean, I knew he was signed. I knew he was going to come. So that was water. But had he not been here.
And that probably was Theo's first big.
No, back up, bud. Back up.
First big trade that he did on his
Stop, own. Jax. Back up.
First trade that he did on his own, right?
No. Because
he was new.
No, but he had already done a lot of different stuff because he'd put Manny on waivers. He had done some stuff, but that was his first big deal.
His big signing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then the next thing you know, we're in Boston looking for a place to live.
So that's actually an interesting story. So we come to Boston and we're looking at, and I mean, we're
how many houses can you look at in a weekend?
We'll just say, I mean, we had this idea. I think our price range was like $3 or $4 million, and we were looking at houses. And there was, I saw a house, or I don't know if you saw. I saw there was a house in the listings for $12 million, and I was like, let's go look at this house just to see what a $12 million house looks like.
No. Even though,
and it was Drew Bledsoe's house. So we drove out to Medfield and we looked at the house, and there's a huge story behind him selling this house. But turns out we got the price down to $4 million, and we bought the house, and that's where we ended up moving. And Jax is being a pain in the ass, but that's how it all happened.
Yeah, but it was being here that weekend, and then we were just talking about this. Me and the kids were that when we moved here. It was snow everywhere. Spring training. We moved here on March 17th. So you can imagine.
We came from Arizona and our kids had never heard of snow
days and that kind of stuff. So we and they didn't even have boots because they've been in Arizona. They only had flip-flops. And the day before we land, we're switching up houses. I'm grabbing some stuff we had a Philadelphia house, switching it from Arizona to Philadelphia and coming here. And Garrison fell off of something and split his head. So I spent the night before in the emergency room with him getting stitched up. And then while I'm there, Gabby and Garrick are chasing something, and Garrick steps on Gabby's leg. And she's complaining about her leg.
Broke her arm, right?
Broke her arm in Arizona. She broke her leg here. So we get here, and there's 2 foot of snow here. I don't know where I live. The truck can't get down the driveway, and Gabby's complaining about this foot. And I called him in spring training, and I said, I don't have a car. I don't know where we are, where we live. I have no way to get it, but you need to send somebody out here. And do you know what it was like to try and find somebody to come out here on St. Patrick's Day? That was like almost impossible. I think that the traveling secretary's son had to drive out here and take me to it. And I was just so like tired and exhausted because the furniture didn't come, and the kids were going to go to school the next day, and I didn't have any winter clothes. And we go in, and they said, well, she broke her leg, and what color cast do you want? And I said, she wants green because it's St. Patrick's Day. And she goes, I want orange. And I said, you're getting green. And the poor lady took me to the side and said, are you okay? I was completely frazzled when we got here, but it's hard to believe that it's 20 years in a couple weeks that we've been here for 20 years. Because people, we've moved so much, and people say, how did your kids do it? But they were pretty young when we landed here. Most of the trading around was when they were younger and before Garrison was born. And so, they really got a chance to grow up in this community. And it was just pretty funny to go back and look at that and see how long it's been. And they did get massive amounts of snow days, but they also do, you better be trapped in somewhere because they can get snow out of here in no time at all. But they are, now that we've gone into COVID and they have all this remote, I think the snow day is gone for good because they have a way to prepare and get the kids on. Oh yeah, you know what? I'm thinking it's not 20 years yet. I'm thinking 2001, 2004. So what is that? 17 years we've been here.
Yep.
And we've had a great time racing them here.
And all the excitement was kind of front loaded.
But it lived up to, if I was gonna watch your career end, this would be the place. Because I can't imagine going from having people love baseball as much as they do here and leaving and going to places like Houston where there was nobody in the stands and nobody knew anything about baseball. And I can remember Garrick going to school, and it was Red Sox Day. And he was so excited that they had a shirt with your name on the back of it. Meanwhile, they sold it at Target. They sold, Red Sox stuff everywhere. But it wasn't until that last year that you really got anything with Schilling, and it wasn't sold in the Target and the Walmarts and stuff back in Arizona because baseball still wasn't as big. It wasn't until after you won the World Series that you went in and found your shirts in those places. But here it was everywhere. So they kind of got a kick out of that they could go anywhere and get a shirt with their dad's name on it. Do you remember when Garrett was little, he would ask everybody what their dad's number was? Yeah. When he would go to school. Yeah. Because that's how the kids, when they were younger, that's how they talked to each other. What's your dad's number? What's your dad's number? When they were around the clubhouse. Yeah, Garrett just assumed everybody's dad played baseball. Yeah, and then he had a number. And so when he would ask that, when the kids would be confused, or they would just give him a number because they didn't know what the heck he was talking about.
But now we're getting ready to head to Tennessee. You excited for the move?
I got to get through this. I'm getting through this part first. And I'm hoping that you stop having packages come to the door.
Well, if I hadn't told my story, we would have been done 20 minutes ago.
I know.
And it's now 9:00.
Well, I'm sure that we lost a few people in that process. That
We
you
didn't
told
lose
the
anybody.
story.
Yeah, that's not an interesting story at all.
Do you know what Rob said to me tonight? I said, well, he gains a couple viewers when I'm on there. He goes, what, 3?
Yeah, he's not the brightest.
Yeah. So how many do you usually get a night?
Anywhere from 3,000 to 6,000.
Even Garrett, like when somebody said something about Garrett when he was little and he would say his name and everybody would always get it wrong and he would go, no, like Lou Gehrig. That was his like response to everybody.
Yeah. But you're really being
And it's
annoying.
funny because as we got older, a lot more people named their kids Gehrig.
Yeah. Yeah, I know a lot of people have. Hi, buddy.
Not a lot of Kurt's out there though. Remember somebody named their cats Kurt and Sean?
I just remember people saying they named their children after me and thinking how weird that was.
Yeah. You know who else they named it after that I thought was a cute first name was Beckett, Josh Beckett. Beckett is kind of a cool name for somebody. I don't think, do you think a lot of people named their kids
No.
Pedro here?
No. Pedro?
Pedro.
No. Maybe middle name.
Mm.
Jax. Jax is growling at his reflection in the ceiling.
Have you guys all seen Fever Pitch? The movie?
Yeah, there's a lot of Boston people in there.
You should tell them about the outfield. When we won the World Series.
What about the outfield?
How they filmed the movie in the outfield.
That wasn't on during the game.
It was after the game.
Yeah, but I didn't see any of that.
We didn't see it, but that's where they did it. We saw that.
They did the outfield in Fenway, honey. That's where they filmed it. We were in St. Louis.
No, they were actually on the field because they had to get.
I know, but we weren't in. It was.
But tell them how they rewrote it. Why do you always argue with me?
What? Well, what story are you asking me to talk about? The outfield or how they rewrote it?
How they rewrote it.
Okay. So the movie Fever Pitch originally ends with the Red Sox losing and whatever. So and they were during the series when we started to come back, they started to have production meetings, talking about, gosh, can you imagine if they came back and won this thing? Well, eventually when we went up 2-0, they rewrote the ending of the movie and they filmed it literally live on the field. And I tell the story, like when we won, we're all running out there and jumping up and down. And I look around I turned around and I'm like, what the fuck are Drew Barrymore and Jimmy Fallon doing on the field with us? Like they were jumping up and down and celebrating. Jimmy Fallon's a Yankee fan, but they were on the field. And that's actually, they were filming it when we won on the field.
Isn't that what I just said? And you said no?
No, you said the outfield. They filmed it in the outfield. The outfield scene that they filmed was in Fenway Park when she jumps off the center field fence.
Yes, but it's actually the celebration from.
Right. That's two completely different parts of the movie.
It's them celebrating in the outfield.
No, it's not. They celebrated on the pitcher's mound on the field. They didn't do it in the outfield.
Okay, guys, where did they celebrate?
Really? You're going to argue with me?
Yeah, I'm going to argue.
You're wrong. You're 100% wrong. We were on the field.
Make me scan through. You were on the field and you saw them.
On the field next to the pitcher's mound. The scene in the outfield was when she came off the fence to run to meet him. That was done in Fenway because she was running around Johnny Damon in center field.
Yeah, but I wasn't talking about that.
That's exactly what you said, the outfield.
Well, at the end of the movie, they're in the middle of all of us.
We're in the middle of the end. You weren't even on the field, honey. They were on the field with the team when we won it.
I was on the field too.
Yeah, but you weren't then. They came out on the field literally as we won it. That was the crazy thing because we were on the mound, and I looked over and they were both standing there, and I was like, "What the hell are they doing on the field?" And you can see they filmed it during the scene, during the actual thing. Stop, Jax.
I do think that's cool that they rewrote the movie.
Oh no, I think it's a fascinating story.
And then they were able to open it up during April of the next year when they were still riding on the high. Those are experiences that you don't get, you forget about until somebody brings it up again. That's because you're so far in. It's like when in the first World Series, you don't. Thank goodness you get to win another one so that you could sit back and really enjoy how it goes afterwards.
Yeah, I didn't do that till the third one.
Well, then the third one.
The second one, I didn't. The third one, I enjoyed the last one. It was by far the least impressive
Stressful.
one
Mhm.
because I didn't do a whole lot. I was just on along for the ride. But sat back and kind of watched and enjoyed it for John Lester and Josh Beckett.
But you pitched too.
Yeah, but I didn't do much, and they were the guys leading that pitching staff, so that was a lot more. I remember actually thinking that in the clubhouse in Colorado, like it's just taking it all in and enjoying it for the moment it was, instead of being breathless after St. Louis. And the Yankees series and St. Louis series, both I don't those are just. I remember being exhausted after the Arizona one, just
Yeah.
exhausted
Well,
in the clubhouse.
that was emotionally draining.
No, I'm saying
No, emotionally, just with the
I
whole
know,
9/11
I'm
and stuff
saying
like
I was
that.
in the clubhouse. I remember Brian Anderson looking at me going, "You're a freak,"
Well, I could have told him that. I
and
really had to think about that.
and just that clubhouse. And it was quiet for some reason when people had filtered out. But like the Red
With the
Sox and the
Yankees?
Cardinals, yeah, the Red Sox and Cardinals one, that clubhouse was a zoo. I remember the only thing I remember about that was the toast and picking up Johnny Pesky when they came in the clubhouse.
Yeah, because we had to fly home and all of the people were still up.
No, yeah, no, they were going to work in the morning.
Up.
They were literally driving. I just remember the bus ride back to the
That's what I was
stadium.
going to say. People were hanging out.
We
the
were driving
windows.
on
They knew.
95, and the freeway, everybody on the freeway, I don't know how they knew it was us, but they stopped on the freeway and got out of their cars at rush hour.
And it was bitter cold.
It was, yeah, and not as cold as the parade, but it was cold.
But we had just gotten back so early in the morning because did they let us celebrate there first, or did we celebrate on the plane?
We celebrated more because we had the choice. We could stay or go, and we all voted to go home, and so we just drank on the plane because the Sports Illustrated cover photo of us four, all four of us were drunk as hell. Johnny and Poppy, me, and I think Tech or Pedro. We were drunk as hell, and we were all Pedro, David, and I were all the Disney guys.
Yeah.
So we all had to get on a plane and go to Disney.
No, I don't remember them. We went first.
Yeah.
To Disney. That's the most tired I've ever been in my life because we met the kids at the, and that's when you got the call from the president.
Yep.
Was on the way there. But it was going to Disney and seeing half of the people in Disney wearing
I tell people,
Red Sox shirts was
of all the places in the world, including Boston, the place that I have always been recognized more and not hassled, but approached more than anywhere in the world is Disneyland. Every time we've ever gone, it's been the same thing, which is awesome.
But do you remember being in that parade and just seeing the sea of Red Sox? Like, how did they know that we were going to be there?
Yep.
You know, that you were going to be there in a parade.
Yeah, so we were the marshals for the parade. That's what when you're the Disney person, that's what they do. You're the parade marshal. And it was all of us on the car, and it was just like being in Boston.
Yeah. Like they had to have packed all those Red Sox jerseys because they couldn't go out and get them that fast to wear them to the thing again. And then all the surgery started.
Yeah.
For you.
Yeah.
Do we use our hour up? We should keep a
Yep. Drunk as hell.
We should use a
we're good.
No,
what?
Like a timer.
We're fine. It doesn't matter if we go over.
No, just making sure. Oh, and remember Garrison was just staring at Minnie Mouse like she was the most wonderful thing in the world. We have pictures. He was just like she was a supermodel to him. And he would just hold her hand. He was so little when we won that. He was only, 3 years old? And that cutest picture of him we have laying in the World Series circle that they painted on the floor with his shirt with going like this, number one. No teeth at all in the front because he had broke them all off swimming in the bathtub.
Yeah, actually, I got a call from President Bush because that morning when we got back
That still makes me go like this.
Fenway, that morning I did Good Morning America with Charles Gibson, and it was the election year. And I said, at the end of the interview, I said, "Hey, Charles, make sure you tell everybody to go out and vote tomorrow and vote Bush." And like,
I just remember
it was
going,
like 20 seconds of, you didn't go, you didn't even know.
I heard it.
I know, but you didn't have any idea what it meant to us.
I didn't have any idea what it was going to be.
Right. But then we got in the car to go to the airport to get the jet down to Florida, and
you were using
I was doing an interview.
You were using my mom's phone.
On her mom's phone because my phone was dying, and she's like, "Hey, you got a phone call. You got to take this." I'm like, "I'll just take a message." She's like, "No, you got to take it now." And I was like, "Just take a message." She's like, "It's the President of the United States." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah.
So he's like, "Hey, Kurt."
Just hung up on the person he was doing the interview on.
So he invited me to invited us to campaign with him through Ohio and Pennsylvania to end the election. And we actually did. That was an amazing experience too. So
yeah. But I remember saying to you, "It's the president." And you go, "I'll call him back later." And I go, "It's the president."
Yeah. Which pissed off the ownership of the Red Sox because they apparently they wanted us to be apolitical unless we were supporting John Kerry.
Yeah, well, think about it. You said that against the hometown hero.
Yeah, who is the only.
But I have to say that all the years that followed, and I did the stuff with ALS and everything, he has always been so good to me.
Who?
John Kerry.
Okay.
And remember wasn't it when you...
Cost him nothing to be good to you, though. He didn't do anything.
I don't care.
And
then when
Joe Biden was nice to you, too.
Do you remember when... no, I never went to Delaware. But
you met him. And I met him. He was always nice. They all are.
No, but
John Kerry was incredibly nice to me.
He wrote you a really nice letter when everything happened with 38 Studios. I remember that.
I don't remember that at all.
I do.
No, I didn't get a letter from John Kerry being
Yes,
nice. No, I didn't.
Okay. It's like, wait, when I go cleaning this shit out, I'm going to find those letters.
You're not going to because you already threw it away, I'm sure.
No. I'm sure it's
with
in
everything
that storage.
Else. No.
It's in that storage.
No, John Kerry never wrote me a letter.
And I'm also, before we moved to Tennessee, and we're still doing this, I'm going to get that writer on the phone to...
You weren't there.
Boy, it's amazing how you disregard me for so
What do you
many
mean
things.
Disregard? You weren't there. I'm not disregarding you.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not. I'm just not acknowledging a part of the story that didn't exist.
Mm-hmm. I can remember everything about the restaurant.
No.
You were sitting on the bench part with him, and I was on the side with the reporter.
We were at a table with 4 chairs.
Yep, and I was the 4th chair.
You just said you were at a table with benches.
No, you guys were on a bench. She's
fucking lying her ass off.
You were on a bench, and I
wasn't.
That you didn't even ask him for an autograph.
I didn't ask him for an autograph. So but that's not. So I've never asked anybody for an autograph.
You were so excited to meet him, and you had a huge collection of autographs.
So I would never ask somebody for an autograph in that setting.
You're just being an ass.
No, I'm not. Mm-hmm. She wasn't there.
I know. Well, let's just hope that I get to tell the stories last, because then I know they'll be truthful. And they'll go much faster than if you do. Yeah, Kurt, you have to go in the swear jar. I got the pity cancer for saying the F word today, so I don't have to put anything in the swear jar.
She's milking that one.
I have 7 more weeks to milk it until it's all over. So just remember, I can't lift anything in 3 weeks.
What are you going to lift?
So
you have nothing to lift.
I got to pack this place.
But you don't have to do any of it. You just point to the boxes and tell Rob to put shit in it. Yeah. Or me, and it gets put in the box and packed.
How many boxes have you packed?
8 downstairs. That's not true.
Goose eggs.
It's not true at all.
I don't consider throwing shit in a topless bin.
Okay, so apparently packing a box means putting everything in it and then tape on it.
Yeah, that's what... I already wrote a book. And you know what? It was so successful the first time, I'm not even going to try to do it the second time. Gabby, we're doing a show.
So what?
Rob's watching you.
Oh, okay. And she came home today.
Calm down.
Show him lettuce. Your lettuce.
Oh, my freaking cabbage. Okay.
She bought cabbage instead of lettuce.
When I picked it up, it was like this. I didn't even know it had this on it.
It looks like
Nobody can tell me this doesn't look like a head of lettuce.
it does.
No, it doesn't.
What is wrong with you, Mom?
It looks just
Wait,
like a head of lettuce.
Here's the part.
It says cabbage, but it was down like this.
Right. It looks like a head of lettuce.
Wow. And you can see who eats a lot of lettuce would be the expert on
Right.
that one. Lettuce doesn't come with M&Ms on top of it.
La lechuga.
All right. Thank you guys for checking in. All 4,000 of you.
Are you done?
Yeah, we just finished.
That was quick.
It was an hour.
Get away from me.
All right, guys. I'll be more put together next week. We'll see you later.
Did you just side kiss me? Don't side kiss me. No.
Yeah.
Screw it. Forget it.
No, it was a front kiss.
No, it wasn't. That was a bullshit side
I
kiss.
remember it.
Stinky mouth.
All right. Have a good night, guys.
Bye. That was, is it a
What's unending? Come on.
catch on to all the good stuff? Oh my God, I have to take this set off because this little heater.
Meal prep.